Morning, it is 8:30. I'll go ahead and call today's meeting of the Clay County Board of Commissioners to order. The first item on the agenda is an approval of the agenda.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
A motion offered to approve from Commissioner Bear,
Second.
second from Commissioner Campbell. Any further discussion? I'd just like to formally acknowledge the donation to our K-9 program in the amount of $56 from Johnson's Auto Repair. This business has always been incredibly supportive of this program, so thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. Citizens to be heard. Any citizens in the audience wishing to address the board on any item not on the agenda? Steve, again.
Nothing, Madam Chair.
Approval of the payment of bills and vouchers.
Move to approve.
Motion offered from Commissioner Kravanoff,
Second.
second from Commissioner Ebinger. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. The minutes presented from February 10th.
Madam Chair, I move for approval of the minutes.
Motion offered from Commissioner Ebinger to approve as presented, a second from Commissioner Bear. Further discussion? Discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Carried. Number 2 today, our annual department update from Withdrawal Management Detox. Good morning to you both.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners. Today, this is Andrew Lowy. I don't know if I've ever really introduced him, but he is my RN supervisor. And we're going to talk about, it's been kind of an exciting year because we've been there a little over a year in that building. So we'll give you an update on kind of how the building's going and how the program is doing. Our program staff, just to give you guys an update on that with the hierarchy, we did hire the last 2 RNs that we needed for the facility. That gives us a full set of RNs for the first time since we've been in this building, so that is good. We are in the process of hiring 1 LPN and 1 full-time tech, and after we do that, then we will be fully staffed, probably for the first time, maybe since I became the director of Detox. So, don't say that. Yeah. So, we've expanded a little bit. One thing that you'll see is on the program staff on the certified peer recovery specialist. That is a position now that is required by the Department of Human Services. We're trying to cover that with, I have 1 hired and we have 2 pending background checks. So once we have that, then we'll be, I think, in a better position than we've been for a long time with our certified peer specialists. We have a lot of variable hour staff. We've been trying to offset our full-time with variable hours. A lot of them are very minimal in how much they can work because they have other jobs, so we try to have as many roster as we can to fill those positions. Going through to the Detox program, just as a reminder, we are licensed through both MDH as a supervised living facility under Chapter 4665. The Detox is licensed under DHS for a detoxification license, which is a Rule 32, and then also the withdrawal management is licensed under the 245F. The detoxification license allows us to continue to serve North Dakota clients. And then we have our licensed alcohol and drug counselors are licensed, and they work with our clients. It's also a state statute that they have to see clients prior to being discharged. So we have 2 full-time LADCs that have done an excellent job getting clients into different types of programming and helping them with housing and and whatever these clients may need. So the withdrawal management program, I'll focus on that a little bit. That's also, like I said, licensed through DHS is 245F. The withdrawal management program has a higher level of medical standards for these clients. When we first moved to the building, we combined our detox with our withdrawal management. What we did is we brought our detox standards up to where the withdrawal management standards are, so we're treating all the clients the same. They all get the same services. We didn't want to have two different types of treatment of clients, things like that. So it also contains additional service requirements to support and encourage clients to engage in ongoing recovery and continued treatment services. So the one benefit that we have with the withdrawal management program is that clients can maintain and stay in our facility until we actually get them into a treatment facility. That's always been kind of, that continuum of care has been a problem for us because they stay 3 days under detox, then we discharge them, they go and do the same thing. We really had a hard time getting clients into treatment because they just were not clean enough to go there. So that has been a huge benefit for the clients to be able to do that. Talk about the admissions. I've shown this one before, but this shows our last year in our old facility compared to our new facility. We've doubled our beds, and some months we've doubled our clients compared to where we were in 2024. So things are progressing pretty well on that. This morning we were sitting at 20. That's pretty common to be in that 18 to 20 range. Giving you guys a little statistics. The total number of client admissions we had in 2025 was 2,638. Out of that, 741 of those were Clay County residents, 296 were from other Minnesota counties, 1,598 were from North Dakota, and then occasionally we get a client who comes and visits a relative from out of state, and that is how we ended up with 3 clients from other states. Homeless clients are a big part of our operation, and we served 1,590 clients that were homeless last year. So,
Troy,
yes.
are we able to track trends in the bordering counties to see if there's a higher use county? You have the 296 visits from other Minnesota counties.
Yep.
Is there a sampling that seems like there's a higher use?
A majority of those come from Becker, Otter Tail counties. Those are our 2 bigger counties. We do see clients, a lot of them come from Beltrami County, from the hospitals there. So they use us quite a bit. Thief River Falls will send clients from the hospital there. We do get clients from as far north as War Road. And we get clients all the way, almost to the southern border. So.
And then also for the North Dakota component, majority Cass, I would assume, are you able to track other North Dakota counties, or are they all Cass?
They're all of the North Dakota clients go in under CAS because we bill Southeast Human Services for all North Dakota clients. And they come from across the state, actually.
Correct. Part of the reason I'm asking it, when we had initially applied for the grant, we'd argued that this was going to be a regional facility, and the stats after a year certainly show that that's the trend as well.
Reimbursement comes from a variety of ways. Our withdrawal management clients, if they come in and they have MA or they have a PMAP where we can build their services, we do that. If they don't have any insurance, we try to get them on the behavioral health funding, which is the money given from the federal government to the state of Minnesota to provide for clients to go to treatment, to be in detox, things like that. So we try to get as many clients on that as we possibly can. Clients from North Dakota, like I said, are paid via contracts with Southeast Human Services and the VA and Fargo.
Troy, how are those rates set for that you charge Southeast Gas?
Well, the withdrawal management in Minnesota is set at, it's $400 a day plus $75 per bed. The bed is paid by the Behavioral Health Fund, and then the 400 comes out of insurance or maybe even the Behavioral Health Fund if they don't have any.
I'm talking for Cass County?
Cass County, we've had so for Cass County and our commitment holds in Minnesota, we have a rate that we've set, and it's been that way for quite a while. I'm working with Southeast right now we're kind of negotiating that amount that they pay. Right now, we've been charging Minnesota counties that put commitment holds at our place, and Fargo Cass the same amount.
Okay.
One question, Madam.
Commissioner Bear?
Do we collect any revenue off the homeless clients, sir?
If we can get them on a behavioral health funding or they do have MA, yes.
What percentage of that is there that we are
It's
roughly?
pretty high. I'd say we're collecting probably over 50%, give or take, with the homeless clients. And a lot of the homeless clients are come from Cass County too, so then they're all paid.
And is that number from the homeless clients part of the number, the 2,600, or is that an individual number?
No, that's part of the 2,600, yeah. And that would be, the client admissions would just be a straight admission. It could
Yeah.
be 24 hours, 48, 72. It could be longer than that if they're waiting for treatment. Okay, good questions. I think I'll let Andrew talk. There's been a couple big projects that we've been working on getting incorporated to make our program better. One of them is the humanities scheduler. Andrew's been kind of handling the schedule for the last year or so I'll let him talk about that. a
Yeah,
little bit.
so we started, it was gonna be a process starting in December where we might, a little closer,
There you go.
is that better? Okay, so we started in December, we kinda had a hybrid with the old way and the new way, so on the 1st of January, we implemented it full-time. The staff love the ease of use, it's a big improvement from what we had before. It allows them to pick up shifts on the app, see their schedule out ahead of time. It's improved our staffing tremendously so far, even in the month and a half that we've had it. Yeah, it's been great that we've been allowed to have the app.
Yeah, I think it's really improved our communication. Staff no longer have to call in to see when they're working or take pictures of the calendar or things like that. It's really streamlined the process. Allows us to schedule a lot further in advance, which they always appreciate, knowing their schedule, a few months in advance. So, and it saved a lot of time, I would say, administratively.
Yep.
Yeah. The other big program we are installing, I just met with Written yesterday for our new electronic health record program. The contract's been signed, and we are currently in the process of developing and customizing the program to meet our needs. So we've been sending them all of our documents to put into the system, and they will be able to I think, increase our quality of service and client care for those clients. The documentation is certainly going to improve. We will be able to, by using the computers, we'll be able to get signatures that are readable. That's been a big issue. And just maintain and keep up with some things, so we won't be able to skip areas where before, when you're doing paper, they could skip an area if they need to, and so that'll help with our staff keeping up with everything. So hopefully, we're talking about April 1st to May 1st, implementing this fully and being on board with the electronic health records, so. Just kind of a summary in the last year. I know we were all on, the building committee and things like that, but this detox facility really has demonstrated that with this new building, there's been so many positive outcomes. I've had, can see the client morale is just, it's way better than it's ever been. The clients are appreciative a lot more. Not that you don't get a disruptive client once in a while, but they appreciate the size of the building. They absolutely love that we equip the rooms with television. That's been very successful for us. We've lost a few TVs, but nothing where I would say it's a extreme significant cost to us, and it just gives the clients more comfort. They're able to sit in their rooms and relax, where before they had to be kind of out with everyone or in a dorm with other people, and that really adds to the anxiety. So I think, them being able to go to their room and just relax a little bit, maybe listen to a little TV before bed, that has been a very, very successful asset that we put through, yeah. The other thing that's been a real big benefit for us is the size of the building and how we built it. The clients are able to walk around the whole building. That's good because it increases their mobility, it gets them moving, it helps with the detoxification. Putting the facility where they can get coffee and juice and water at all times is helpful. They can walk there. A lot of them will walk in partners and go around. We have a mile counter, how many laps it takes to get to the, a mile. So that's been really, really nice to see the clients being able to walk around and move around and get some exercise. So I think the building's actually provided a lot more safe, effective, and client detoxification process. So that's kind of an update of how we've been doing.
Wonderful. Questions from the board?
I have one question, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Bear?
So what is actually the difference between the detox program and the withdrawal management program? What is actually the difference? If I come in there as a client, how do I go through that system? Do I go to detox first, and then if I'm looking for treatment beds, then I roll into withdrawal management?
So if you were from North Dakota, you would be in our detox program. The only reason we really carry that Rule 32 license is to have those clients.
Okay.
If you're from Minnesota, you go into our withdrawal management program automatically. Now, both programs, you're going to get the exact same services. So whether somebody comes in for detox or they come in for withdrawal management, it's exactly the same. We've, lifted the requirements of the detox program to match the requirements of the withdrawal management program. So
North Dakota calls it something different than what Minnesota called it, roughly, right?
yeah, North Dakota is working towards withdrawal management. It's going to be on a different level than what Minnesota has for withdrawal management. I've heard through the grapevine a little bit that they're looking at 3.7 programs in North Dakota that would allow them to be able to do a lot higher care. I guess they're going to be able to do IVs and different things like that. So that would be a higher level of care than what we currently provide
On the withdrawal management.
on the withdrawal management. Yeah.
Additional questions? Thank you both for the presentation, but more importantly, thank you for the work that you staff and you do. Really important for us to see the data. That's really helpful as we continue to support this program moving forward. I'm also really encouraged to see that you've really landed on your feet, if you will, with a new facility, and now we're identifying ways that we can find efficiencies to save money while also serving clients in the most humane and efficient way possible. We really appreciate this. And then I think it goes without saying, those of you that wrote for the grant initially, I know our county attorney helped with that as well as your department. Boy, this has been such a huge asset. Really grateful for the initial work with the grant writing that went into this. We would not have been able to build such a state-of-the-art facility without those funds. Thank you.
And I do want to thank you guys for your continued support. I agree with you, Commissioner Mojo, completely. It's been nothing but an asset for Clay County, and our residents are a lot safer. So, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Right on the dot, Troy. 250, our request approval of resolution 2026-07 for, that's not you, it's the next one. 2026-07 for state appropriations for Clay County, Minnesota, and the Dubuque Erosion Acquisition Project. I saw Matt in the hallway. Oh. We have to go in that order. Let's just hear, do you want, we can't go ahead to the bid opening. Is that lead agency capacity? That's Quinn. We can wait. I can wait if. Let's take a 3-minute break while we wait.
We're on break. Oh.
We're back. We're live now, so you can go.
All right, good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. So this morning I have before you a request to approval of Resolution 26-7 for state appropriations for Clay County, Minnesota, and the Dubuque Erosion Acquisition Project. So this project is moving along. We did receive federal funding for this project at 75% of the project total. And then we're awarded state funding as well. And the state funding covers half of the local cost share. So that is a 12.5%, which is roughly $62,312 of the project. And so this resolution is essentially a requirement to receive those funds.
As you recall, this is landowners that we've been working with in Clay County. They had an unfortunate circumstance with erosion on the bank near their home. This has taken a lot of work to get to this point, but given how difficult it is to obtain hazard mitigation grant funds, how great for them. It is important to note that the landowners are responsible for that local match component, which they're aware of, they're understanding of. So any further questions from the board on this? But we've talked to this.
Yeah, and Madam Chair, just to speak to that a little more too, I worked with our attorney, Mr. Melton, and we did draft kind of like an acknowledgement agreement for them to acknowledge that they are responsible for that additional, or the remaining 12.5%, and they very happy with that.
Thank you for clarifying that. I didn't want to encumber them with a debt if they weren't aware of it.
Yep.
Wishes of the board, questions for Matt?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2026-07 for state appropriations for Clay County, Minnesota, and the Dubuque Erosion Acquisition.
A motion offered from Commissioner Bear,
A second.
a second from Commissioner Kravinoff. Was there a FEMA resolution that needed to be completed, or is that a different project?
There was not, Madam Chair.
Any further discussion?
I mean, in one comment, since I've been on here for a little over a year, we've been dealing with this piece of property for the last year, so.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried.
Thank you.
I did sign this, so if you, I'll have Steve sign it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. bid opening is advertised for 9. Dave, Commissioner Ebinger, would you mind doing a round of
Sure.
updates? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thursday, the 19th of February, I attended the Rethinking Mental Health and Substance Abuse Coalition meeting, which this time was held, it was held in person, had 34 participants at a listening session for Minnesota Department of Health and Minnesota Suicide Prevention Task Force. And it's one of the first of regional listening sessions trying to determine what factors are at play in communities in addressing suicide and mental health issues within their communities. We had a great turnout on this, and I was very impressed with the way the state agencies interacted with our county entities to actually not just have a meeting where people can come in and listen to them talk, but they solicited from the 34 participants who were all professionals within schools, within community-based projects, health services, to find out what is lacking in suicide response and mental health response within our communities. I've got just from Karen Nikorsky just sent me an email about 20 minutes ago with some of the results from it. I want to particularly indicate how impressed I am with Rory Beal, Annabelle Default, and Karen working with the state entities that came in to set this up and to get the panels put together, the tables put together that we moved through to answer questions about problems within the community. We had West Central Regional Juvenile, had 2 of the nurses, and Ryan Sandvid, who works as the training director over there. They were great participants. I was on a panel with them as we rotated through the 4 stations where they asked questions. There were some good takeaways that addressed fragmented systems, access breakdowns and transition points, financial and structural barriers, trust issues, some of the stigma that's involved in mental health and in suicidal persons, safety foundations, just a whole list of things they've come up with. I think it was productive. Been to a lot of community meetings. This one actually gathered a great deal of information and had it synthesized. Later that day, I attended our regional library finance committee, Lake Agassiz Regional Library Finance Committee. We're getting ready for the move to the new Moorhead Library. There's going to be, we have a great amount of furniture, shelves, all kinds of items that are not going to be transitioned over to the new facility. And we approved a proposal from McLaughlin to have an internet auction of these items. It's going to be the same group that did it for Moorhead Public Schools when the new high school came on board. Everything is going to be, it'll be advertised, but everything's going to start at $1. And the bids are going to have a period of time where people can bid for the items, and then they'll have 24, 48 hours, something like that, to come pay for it and pick it up. But anybody who is excited about getting a really good deal on tables, chairs, shelves, all sorts of items, it'll be advertised, but they're going to be available. We also had our first meeting on the formula options and implementation of those formula changes. As you might recall, we discussed the 20-year-old formula that is being used right now. We're looking at something that's a little more reflective of actual costs. looking at the numbers, and this is just first impression, I don't know if it's going to have that big an impact on our costs. But there are some of the partners are paying a little bit over, some of them a little bit to a lot under. And we're going to have to see how that shakes out. The county is a little bit over. We're paying a little bit more than what the cost of our facilities are. And I think that's going to be scrutinized, and we'll continue on that with the objective of having a formula that we can use in budget planning by the middle of the year. And I'll keep you advised on that. On the 24th, which was yesterday, Monday, I attended the Greater Fargo-Moorhead EDC Executive Board meeting. Had a number of bylaw, just cleanups that we passed. Discussion and nominations of public sector, or private sector nominees for the executive board were passed. The public sector executive board members, the various communities, including Clay County, are going to be contacted to see who they want to appoint to continue to serve on the executive board. That's the position I'm holding right now. Mike Arnston was selected as the chair. Made some changes and some discussion about the strategic playbook that's underway and some of the working group issues. Then we had an executive session and did discuss the CEO salary and contract that is pending or needs to be renewed by the end of the year. And that completes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Ebinger. We will move into our bid opening. Item 4, bid opening for SAP 014-609-010. Good morning, Justin.
Good morning.
Do you have an engineer's estimate on the project at $724,514.50?
Yep. So yes, we did receive 6 bids for this project. All bids are complete with a bid bond. So the first bid is from Northern Improvement Company out of Fargo. Their bid is $822,638.25. $822,638.25. Second bid is Knife River Materials. Their bid is $797,631.50. $797,631.50. Next bid is from Mark Sand and Gravel Company. Their bid is $728,948.65. $728,948.65. Next bid is from R.J. Zaverl and Sons Incorporated. Their bid is $725,591.75. $725,591.75. Next bid is Border States Paving Incorporated. Their bid is $724,198.30. $724,198.30. And the final bid is from Central Specialties Incorporated. Their bid is $699,984.00. $699,984.00.
So this project, exciting to see that we had 6 strong bidding packages that were put together for this. Your hope is that we would have a preliminary low bid approval contingent on no errors in the bid, correct?
That is correct. And just as an FYI, this project is on CASA 9 from Trunk Highway 10 to CASA 18, 2 miles. And yeah, I think we did receive really good bids. Central Specialties is a really good contractor. They did both of our paving projects last year. And just as an FYI, our 5-year plan number, which obviously is done way before an engineer's estimate is kind of dialed in, was $875,000. So it's good to see numbers come in under.
Been so many tangibles in what the market
Yeah, definitely.
are. Appreciate seeing something underbid. Wishes from the board or questions for Justin and staff?
I move approval of the low bid contingent upon no errors in the bids.
A motion offered from Commissioner Campbell.
Second.
A second from Commissioner Bear. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried, thank you.
Thank you.
Our number 5 item is a request approval of the lead agency capacity building grant extension. Good morning, Holly. Good morning, Quinn.
Morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Yes, I'm here to request a motion to execute a one-year extension of the grant with DHS. To give you a little backstory, we were awarded the DHS Lead Agency Capacity Building Grant to increase competitive integrated employment for individuals with disabilities receiving home and community-based services. This board previously approved the release of an RFP, and we subsequently contracted with Productive Alternatives Incorporated to implement the employment specialist services outlined under the grant's work plan. Since implementation, Clay County and PAI have successfully met multiple milestones tied to the grant's objectives. These milestones have included outreach to waiver recipients, employer engagement to promote inclusive hiring practices, collaboration with our internal and external case managers to increase their use of employment tools, and participation in the statewide Employment First technical assistance activities. As a result of this wonderful progress by Holly's team and PAI, DHS has offered Clay County the opportunity to extend the grant for an additional year through 2027, totaling $87,187. I'm anticipating that the majority of these funds will continue to support the contracted work with PAI, consistent with our approved work plan and the performance expectations of the grant, but a portion of the funding will remain with us to support the administration, the fiscal oversight, reporting requirements, and then our local coordination responsibilities. I don't know exactly what that will look like yet. Basically, anything that we don't contract with PAI, we will keep as administrative revenue. So extending this would allow us to continue advancing that competitive integrated employment outcome for individuals with disabilities. It will hopefully strengthen partnerships with our local employers and sustain the momentum that we've built under this initial grant period. I do have a copy of the contract addendum for your review. It runs through June of 2027. And again, this is fully funded through the DHS Lead Agency Capacity Building Grant. We don't have any levy funds for this work. The extension would generate, again, that small amount of administrative reimbursement. I won't know what that looks like probably until June of this year. With that, I'd yield for any questions that the board has.
Thank you, Quinn. This is exciting that it's extended. There's two words in your presentation that I think is really important for the public to hear what we're doing about is fiscal oversight. And we're really proud of the controls in which you have implemented in these grants. But it's a large issue that we're hearing about in our state. Can you talk a little bit about some of those internal controls that we do to continue to make sure that we are, the money's going to who it's intended to?
Yeah, so I can tell you right now, any bill that PAI submits has got to run through Holly first, and then we're looking at what are we supposed to do with the money that comes in on the grant. So not only do we have a contract with PAI that outlines what's supposed to be done, that they should be following in the first place, but that's also being vetted and monitored by Holly, who's overseeing the grant, because she is the program expert of the actual work that's being done by her case managers and by the work at PAI. So any invoice that's getting submitted has to meet the requirement in the contract anyways, and Holly's there to catch it. If not. On top of that, the state also then will do audits and fiscal reconciliations at the same time. So it's kind of a double whammy of checks and balances.
Great. Any questions on this? Wishes of the board?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Ebinger.
move to approve the one-year extension of the DHS Lead Agency Capacity Building Grant in the amount of $87,187 and execution of the amendment and related contractual adjustments through June 30th, 2027.
Motion offered from Commissioner Ebinger to approve as presented.
I'll second.
And a second from Commissioner Krabanoff. Any additional questions? Further comments? Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. Thank you.
Thank-
Thank you. Sheriff, do you have everyone here? Item 6 today is our annual department update. We have Sheriff Empting with us today. We have Chief Deputy Martin, Emergency Management Director Gabe Tweeten, and our Jail Administrator Carrie. Good morning to all of you.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Commissioners, thanks for having us here this morning. Also, good morning to our current county administrator. Always got to throw that in there.
Traveled a long way to hear this report, so did
Thanks for having us here today. Today we're going to talk about 2025 overview of the Clay County Sheriff's Office and some of the things that we accomplished in 2025 and hopefully what we have to look forward to in 2026. I always like to start off with our mission statement. I think it's important that our commission knows our mission along with our community that are watching, but it is our mission of the Clay County Sheriff's Office to enforce the laws of the United States, the state of Minnesota, and all local ordinances. Further, it is our mission to enforce the law with impartiality and courtesy and to the respect of the constitutional rights of all people. Further, it is our mission to provide services to the citizens of Clay County that will enhance their quality of life. Do an overview of our divisions. We have the administrative division, what consists of me. I am also the co-chair, as you're aware, of the legislative committee for the Sheriff's Association and the second VP of the Sheriff's Association as well. We have Chief Deputy Martin, and Chief Deputy Martin oversees a lot of the records division, the jail, things of that nature, along with our Community Service Officer, Jay Siebels. We have a records division. Officer manager is Heather Croney, and we have 5 office associates to include the jail office associate in that as well. Then we also have a chaplain program that was started last year, and this is to enhance our deputy wellness, for our deputy wellness program, which we do need to have. We'll start with the operations division. The operations division is overseen by Lieutenant Josh Schroeder, and that consists of patrol and investigations. We're currently at 12 patrol deputies, 4 patrol sergeants, and then we have our 2 SROs, one in Hewlin Hitterdal, which is a new SRO this year. After Jeff Lee left, we had to find a replacement, and Deputy Mike Bernier took over that role, and he's been doing a great job up there, and I hear a lot of positive comments from really anybody he comes in contact with. And then we also have Val Kellen, who's our SRO at DGF, and again, she does a fantastic job for us as well. We also have 5 investigators. We have 1 investigative sergeant, and then we have a roster deputy who continues to follow up on cold case homicides. We have about 4 of them that he's following up on, and he is doing work every week on those cold case homicides from anywhere from a 1978 homicide to 2006, I believe, actually 2014 with the Tommy Beerson homicide he's still following up on. We have our support services division. It consists of Lieutenant Chad Hagan. He oversees that division. In that division, we have 3 transport deputies, 2 civil process deputies, 3 court security deputies. Sergeant Jorgensen went in there this year, replacing Sergeant Reno, who went out to the road. And then we also have 3 roster deputies that assist in court. It's getting a little bit more difficult to find roster deputies. We started off with 5 this year, and now we're down to 3. So that's getting a little harder to fill those positions. I'm thinking for 27, I may try, again, try is the key word, to add an additional person in there. And have that person just be afloat, not only working court security, but if we're short in transports, they can move over and do some transports, or if we're short in civil, they can move over and do some work in civil. It would just be a floater in that position. We're also hoping that the cadet program will assist in filling some of those spots as well. And of course, we have the emergency management division, which is overseen by Lieutenant Tweeten, and you'll hear from him here in a little bit, and then he has an assistant emergency manager, which is Sergeant Nicola Reno. Corrections division, it's overseen by Jail Administrator Tootin, and we will have a corrections division update as well. And then she has her assistant jail administrator, Cody Benson, and then administrative sergeant, Jessica Knight. And then we also have 4 shift sergeants, along with 45 full-time correctional officers, 4 corporals, and 3 programmers. And then 9 roster correctional officers as well. And I think we're down to about 6 roster correctional officers as well, so it's a little bit harder to find them too, but we are working on it. Our operations division for 2025, we ended the year slightly lower in numbers at 29,512. I believe that is just merely because we were short all year. We were anywhere from 1 to 3 short in the operations division, and that's just staffing that we were short. Then you factor in comp time, vacation time, military time, things of that nature. It was a challenging time to cover some shifts this year, but we were able to do that. We also assisted in covering Moorhead shifts as well. As you can see, our K-9 teams, we have 3 K-9 teams. They had 4 criminal apprehensions. They had 10 non-physical criminal apprehensions, 11 area searches, 19 building searches, 32 vehicle searches, 17 tracks, 4 public demonstrations, 14 deterrent uses. They also seized 6 firearms. 33 evidence articles were located by them, and $1,340 cash was seized. There's a lot of hours of training that goes into these canines, and their work right there is displayed. The great work that they do every day is displayed right there. That's a busy year for them, and they did some great work. We received obviously some donations in 2025. We're very fortunate to get those donations and to have the support of our community for our K-9 program. And we also have 3 deputies that are assigned to the Red River Valley Bomb Team, or SWAT team, which consists of the tactical team, bomb team, and crisis negotiations team. Our operations division removed approximately 91 grams of marijuana from the streets, nearly 60 pounds of methamphetamine, 5,273 counterfeit M30 pills, 1.55 pounds of cocaine, and 2.25 pounds of fentanyl powder. This is just our local operations division. This doesn't include any of the federal numbers where we are part of the U.S. Postal Task Force. That doesn't include any of those numbers. And for 2025, just methamphetamine for that task force for our area, they did seize 628 pounds of methamphetamine, which is pretty significant for our area. So they're doing some great work, and we're going to continue that partnership with them. It's a good partnership to have. They also seized 9 firearms. And cash seizures were $130,034. And then the total monetary value of drug seizures to date in 2025 was $514,298. Again, that is just our division. That does not include any of the federal seizures. And then our patrol deputies added an additional 21 grams of cocaine, 32 grams of meth, 31.5 grams of mushrooms, and 39 DUI arrests. And then, of course, some portion of the year we were assisting Moorhead with covering their shifts as well. We also got 130 pounds of pharmaceuticals off the street in our drug boxes that we have at Dorth, Glendon, Ulen, and Barnesville substations. Our investigations division, they investigated approximately 209 cases. Again, this is down a little bit from last year. Part of the reason is we had an investigator that was deployed for 9 months. So that number is down because of that. And when you take on a federal case, that one case could take months and months and months. So that could be just one case for him, and it takes a long time. But the cases that we did assist in were, we did a lot of jail backgrounds, U.S. Marshal cases, postal cases, juvenile sex cases, elder abuse, narcotic sales, fraud, death scenes, and just everything in between. Anything that comes their way, they're taking. We're starting to do a lot of cases from the jail right now, where we're monitoring jail phone calls, and there's a lot of DANCO violations that are coming from the jail that we're starting to investigate more and more now as well, and keeping our county attorney's office busy with those. Yeah. And again, with the operations division, our street crimes unit, they made several arrests for 2025 and kept our area pretty safe from some violent offenders. We had 202 total arrests. We had 79 warrant arrests, 24 firearms were seized, and 20 gang arrests for our division. There's also several agency assists throughout the year as well with our Metro Street Crimes Unit. As many of you are aware, we had a January 28th award ceremony to recognize Deputies Zach Johnson and Canine Cash, an award from the National Police Canine Association. And then we also recognized Deputy Andrew Frovarp and our community service officer for some great work that they did on January 14th of this year. Thank you for those that were able to attend that ceremony as well. And then we did have a couple new deputies hired. We had Deputy Brandon Heidi and Deputy Mike Bernier, and we are currently fully staffed with the sheriff's office, which is great to say. It does still make it difficult sometimes by the time you factor in comp time, vacation. Paid family medical leave is going to be a little challenging for us and other leave, but currently we are fully staffed. Our support services division, they were busy throughout the year as well. They transported 526 individuals. 482 were prisoners from both the adult and juvenile prisons or detention centers, and 44 were civil commits. These transports resulted in 72,336 miles, which is 11,000 more miles than they did in 2024. We had 3 flighted transports, one to Dallas, one to Nashville, Tennessee, and one to Marquette, Michigan. And there was also several overnight transports, one to Marquette, Michigan, Montgomery, Kansas, and Jackson, Missouri, just to name a few. We also continue our long-standing relationship that we have with North Dakota, where if there is somebody with one of our warrants that's picked up in North Dakota, Cass County will go pick them up and bring them back to us. And then if Cass County has a warrant that's picked up in Minnesota, we will go pick that person up and bring them back here. And it's a very good relationship that we do have with them. And then we had about a slight increase in catch and release warrants. We went from 121 to 144. Court security, you'll see a big jump in in-person hearings this year. They had 7,636 in-person hearings, which was significantly higher than 2024 at 5,644. They also had 56 days of jury trials in 2025 as well. So they stayed busy. Courts are trying to get back to pre-COVID numbers in in-person hearings, and that's why you've seen that big increase there. Our civil division completed 1,692 services in 2025. Of those, 463 were subpoenas, 489 were summons, 127 were notices, 142 were writ of recovery and completed evictions, 139 were HROs, 113 were OFPs, and 54 order to show causes. Of those papers served, 1,448 were served by the 2 civil process deputies, 64 were by support services supervisors, 97 by patrol, 21 by warrants and transports, 23 by investigations, 28 by deputy files, who's currently on light duty, and 1 by our office associate, 9 by the ops lieutenant, and then 1 by myself. Records, they spent a lot of time entering warrant civil papers, processing permit to carry applications, dictating reports. They're what really keeps our office rolling throughout the day, but they entered 1,967 warrants, 1,800 civil papers entered for service, 378 protection orders were entered, a combined total of 718 new and renewal permit to carry applications processed, as well as 138 permit to purchase applications. And this is where we've seen a big jump in our records division, is there's just an endless amount of data requests and body-worn camera requests received and processed, and just one of them was 40 hours of video that somebody had to watch and redact, and that's a lot of time. That was very time-consuming. That's just one case of 40 hours of video. A lot of these requests will go to the chief deputy first, and then they go down to the records folks to start processing them. And we've seen a significant number in those, would you say? About what kind of a jump, roughly?
On the 3 years that I've been here, I think it's gone up probably 5 times what we had in that first year. Last year, I'd say I spend probably 10% of my time just on data requests and working with the staff downstairs.
Thank you. So our 2025 stats here are slightly lower than they've been in the past few years, with the exception of gun permits, which are the highest they've been since about 2020. With that, I'd yield for any questions regarding that, or I would turn it over to our emergency manager for his update.
Commissioner Eppinger?
Yeah, Sheriff, on the data requests, I know that there are fees associated that we can charge in trying to recover some of the costs for this. Are they anywhere close to adequate to compensate with this video data?
No. I'll let you take that, but I would say no.
There's a small portion that we can charge for. When we are able to charge, we have to charge the lowest salaried employee that could be able to do that data request and fulfill it. So usually it's about $25 that we can charge for it. When we're redacting the data, which takes a significant amount of time, we're not able to charge for that portion of it, the redaction portion. We can charge for collecting the information, but when it comes time to do the redaction, then we don't get to charge for that. So, for example, when Abby worked for 40 plus, well over 40 hours on the video redaction, because it was 40 hours of video she had to watch and then go back and redact, we don't get to charge for those 80, 100 hours that she worked on it. We get to charge for the amount of time she spent collecting the videos, but not on the redaction. So maybe 10 hours we got to charge for, and then we had to eat 100 hours or more of the rest of the time. So a limited amount, but it nowhere near covers the time that we're spending on it.
There's no automation out there that could make that more efficient. I know the redaction is, at least back when I was involved in it, it's pretty much watching it and doing it by hand.
The video we've been watching and doing by hand so far to make sure that the correct portions are getting taken out or blurred out. And that includes even when she's going through and redacting, there could be photos on the wall of children from a domestic scene that's been requested, and she goes through and she redacts all of that information out as well.
Very good. Well, I'm sure it's being done well, but the cost is probably not, as you're saying, not coming close to what it takes, and we may need to, legislation or automation, one or the other or both. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sheriff, Chief Deputy, to that, I know that you are quite active with your association, with your second vice presidency. Is that the cost incurred to departments for these data requests? And I know we're talking about it with other county departments as well, but particularly yours. Has that been something that you've talked about, maybe doing a legislative initiative to see if there's an ability to bill at least the cost in which departments are incurring?
Through our association, we have not talked about this as of yet. It's something that I think we do need to bring up, but we have several other things on the front burner at this point that we are trying to work through, especially with this short legislative session.
And I think the storyline is it's incredibly important to make sure that those are redacted to protect victims. And to that point, you are not going to have an entry-level employee allowed to see those things, and to be able to bill that is a disservice, I guess.
I know I have talked to Senator Eakin in the past regarding this, but nothing's been brought up as of lately.
Commissioner Campbell?
Yeah, I just want to restate my opinion that I think body worn cameras are a good thing for all of your staff to have. There may be instances, of course, it's the more you have that, the more things are recorded. That means that maybe more attorneys want to have access to that information. But the fact of the matter is, I think there's a lot of frivolous things that are eliminated.
I would agree.
And, so we may have an additional amount of expense done for some of these requests, but at the same point in time, I think the amount of claims against our department might go down.
Yes, I would agree.
Because we actually have the proof.
And for that reason, that's why we added them into our correctional facility as
Right.
well, is to bring those claims down.
Questions? No? Keep moving.
All right. I will now turn it over to Lieutenant Tweeten.
Good morning. As you all know, in 2025, we were blessed to not really experience any major flooding or tornadic events, windstorms. So really, 2025 for me was a year of training. And as you can read through kind of my first, the first slide there, note to self, larger font next year.
Well, you were better than the sheriff.
Right. I got my glasses, but they don't work that far out. But really, we did host a lot of trainings, went over a lot of our plans, revised a lot of plans, and one of the main goals for me is to make sure all of our different response groups, fire, EMS, law enforcement, state, local, federal, is to try to get us all operating on the same page of music. And that's, these big group trainings, multi-agency trainings really lend a lot to that. So if you want to go to the next slide. One of the biggest things we did this last year was an Asher training in Barnesville, which is an active threat training. We did that at the Barnesville School back in March of last year, and actually we had just a beautiful day for it. I think the day after this training, we had a pretty substantial snowfall. But the picture up in the upper left there is us going through a unified command, kind of a briefing. And that's really key when we get a large event. And that's where I guess a lot of my focus has been. We've had some of these large fire events the last few years, large responses that involve law enforcement and fire and EMS, just to get everyone, again, working together and sharing information so the left hand is talking to the right hand. Really good training. We also did a full-scale EOC training, which again was very good with us not having our annual EOC flood activation events the last few years. We've had a lot of new staff and staff turnover, so that was a very good exercise. We did the scenario for that one was a very large tornadic event that affected not only the city of Moorhead, but other parts throughout Clay County. And then kind of an offshoot of that afterwards, we conducted a recovery exercise, which again is kind of one of those forgotten pieces to an emergency that really goes on and on and on. The initial response is the first, 24, 48 hours, but the real work begins in the recovery. So that was a really good exercise. You can go ahead and go to the next one, Mark. Again, so we had the Asher training in Barnesville, which was the first time in Clay County outside of the city of Moorhead that we've incorporated all the volunteer fire departments, volunteer rescue, and ambulance. We are going to be duplicating that exercise this year in June in Hawley. So I'm very, very much looking forward to that. Very, very well received exercise. Again, we had our EOC training. And then I did every year present tabletop exercises to several different groups. Myself, the City of Moorhead EM, and then also Sylvanus, the Emergency Preparedness Coordinator from Public Health. We do several different tabletop exercises with the Long-Term Care Association, Corporate Foster Care, and other groups that care for special needs populations throughout the county. So that is kind of one of the highlights of my job is getting out and getting to know those groups and working with them. Also, participated in a regional commercial airline crash exercise, and it was really unique. It was the EMs from Northwest Minnesota, but we also brought in, the scenario was it was a commercial airliner coming out of Winnipeg that crashed up in a state forest in northern Minnesota, and so we actually had Canadian Mounties participate in it, State Patrol, ATF, FBI, really just a unique exercise that talked about some of the unique circumstances when you have victims that are not only from other parts of the country, but different countries, and how you work through that. So very, very beneficial exercise, and we are going to build off of that this year as a region and kind of take that to the next level. You can go ahead and go to the next one. And then again, kind of one of the things that, or a couple of the things that really were big initiatives this year, and I know Commissioner Eminger is aware of this, but the state of Minnesota ECN, the Emergency Communications Network, secured some grant dollars to do school mapping for the K through 12 schools throughout the state of Minnesota. There's a limited number of grant dollars So it was very important to make sure all of our K through 12 schools within Clay County were on board with that and completing the steps necessary to be included in that. So I worked very hard to make sure all of the schools, public and private, K through 12, were on task with that. And what this will do is they've contracted with a company to come in and do very detailed mapping of school facilities, buildings, and then as we move into next generation 911, the information for first responders is going to be amazing. If someone calls in 911, say from a cell phone or something, it'll show that caller is room 301 on the third floor. It's very detailed information. First responders will have very detailed mapping to respond to that. So that was really just a lot of henpecking on my part and just making sure that those schools were following through on that. And then we also conducted a community risk assessment, which it had been a few years since we had done one of those. And what a community risk assessment is, it's a little different than the hazard mitigation plan, which I'll be going through here this year. A community risk assessment takes into account not only natural disasters, but man-made events, a train derailment, hazmat release, malware attack, and we re-ranked all of those and had several meetings with different groups to complete the surveys. And really what that did was kind of set up my training and goals for the next 5 years. So that was a pretty big undertaking, but it was interesting to see since COVID, the last time we did one, things that changed, and obviously, especially like cyberware stuff or cyber attacks, rose to the top. No surprise. But that's what I have for that. Any questions for me?
No?
Thank you.
Fantastic.
We'll go in the Corrections Division overview. We are close to being fully staffed in our correctional center. We are currently at 2 positions unfilled, but I believe we just heard yesterday that there could be a third. Weekly interviews that go on to try and get us fully staffed in our Corrections Division. Despite this, we're staffed another very busy year within our facility. And I would just like to add that there was a time that we were 14 to 15 down, and since Carrie has taken over, she's gotten us to anywhere from 1 to 3 down, so that's very manageable at this particular point, which is nice. These are the stats for our jail. They booked in 2,230 individuals in 2025. Of those, 25.5 were females, which is the highest percentage recorded to date. 8.5 were booked in on violent felony charges with maximum security classification. 67% were classified as medium security involving all other felony charges. 24% were classified minimum security. And 11% of the population was considered SPMI, which is serious and persistent mental illness. We also had 12 individuals who were found mentally incompetent and subsequently transported to a state hospital. We generated approximately $110,000 of revenue for 2025 for housing medium and maximum classification inmates for other jurisdictions, to include other counties, the DOC inmates, and federal inmates for trial purposes are housed with us. And when we say federal inmates housed with us, that's somebody who is already currently in a federal prison somewhere. They have to bring them back here for court at the federal courthouse, so it's a short stay with us. It might be a witness that's in a state or federal prison as well that we bring back, or that the feds bring back, and they're in a short stay with us, and then they're back to where they were housed at. We definitely continue on with our DREAM program. It encompasses all of our programming, which are very, very valuable and available to the offenders with the support of our volunteers. And we have to say a special thanks to all of our volunteers, especially the Heart of Clay. We would not be able to do some of the programming that we do without the Heart of Clay. So we truly appreciate the Heart of Clay and what they do for us. With that is the Corrections Division overview. Carrie kept it short and sweet this year.
Sure.
I would just like to thank our county board for all of your support that you've given not only to myself, but the entire sheriff's office throughout the year. We're looking forward to 2026. We're able to go into 2026 being fully staffed, which is something that we haven't been able to say for the past few years. At the correctional side of it, again, we're gonna work on getting fully staffed over there. I believe we will, and we also need to get a few more roster people there, but we are doing whatever we can to make sure that we are fully staffed there as well.
Thank you, Sheriff. Carrie, I did have a follow-up question. I was talking to someone last week and was referring to our new correctional facility and then had to swallow twice and realize it's 8 years old, which is wild. Though, as we continue, I was at the annual meeting for Lakeland yesterday. They highlighted the jail program a little bit. How are we with that partnership, or is that still something that's beneficial for mutual parties? Is it working out well?
Yes, that's a very beneficial. What had happened was we ended up getting a new mental health professional in. That takes a little bit of time to get that trust going with the inmates. So we're a little bit behind, but we are definitely catching up. She's been a phenomenal part of our plans over there.
Great.
Yep.
I think it's important for this board, just as we continue to analyze where we're allocating resources, that it's helpful for you and your staff.
It is beyond helpful for us. Yep, not just us, the inmates, volunteers, everybody. It literally affects everybody within that facility and the community.
Fantastic. Questions from the board? Commissioner
Madam Chair.
Bear?
Have we rolled out the cadet program yet?
Not yet. We had Deputy Files that was working light duty, and he did a lot of research for us and as far as what it would look like moving forward. He just recently had gotten that back to us, so now it's reaching out to those that have shown interest and having meetings set up with them and bringing them aboard. Yep. We're hoping early spring yet.
And about 3 to 4? Is what you-
3 to 4 would be, to start off with. Now that we had another roster deputy leave us, we do have some additional funding there that if there are others that are interested, we could look at that, but we have to remember and keep in our minds that we have limited vehicles for them as well.
Yep.
So we have an emergency management truck that they're able to use, and if it's on a weekend, they'd be able to use our CSO pickup as well.
Sheriff, thank you so much for bringing your team to update us today, but more importantly, thank you for the work that you all do every day in our county. I think that we as a board are quite fortunate to have such a wonderful relationship with your department. It's really helpful that you're providing insight and perspective on a lot of the issues as we triage how we best serve our residents. But even more important, thank you for having a department that's approachable, that all residents feel that they can come to you in a time of need, and we're really grateful for that.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, we'll take a 5-minute break. Okay, we're back live. We will go ahead and continue our committee reports. Commissioner Kravinoff?
I have no reports this week. I was on family vacation.
Commissioner Campbell?
On February 10th, we had a Lake County Personnel Issues Committee, which I'm sure last week that was reported on by Commissioner Mojo. That was done last week, so we'll assume that she gave a full report on that. I also attended the afternoon EDC-EDA quarterly discussion. Probably sure that all of you kind of reported on some of that, so I won't build any more time there. We did have a meeting on the 11th with Commissioner Mojo, and I believe Darren was there, and Corey, and one of the staff members regarding the formula that we use. Excuse me, I didn't have my mic on. Sorry about that. Thank you. The formula that's used for the distribution of the funds from SCORE and how we provide those funds to each community. And so we're looking at if that still is appropriate in the way we do that right now. On February 11th, we had the Red River Region Dispatch Center Budget and Finance Committee meeting. We had a year, 2025 year-to-date budget review and a 2026 budget review. Obviously, the 2026 is very early, and the 2025 budget, we did end up having a revenues over expenditures for that year, which is good. I also then, that same day, on the 11th, we had our building committee meeting, and we discussed the power plant roof, and that is going to be done in 2026, and that $100,000 for that particular project will come out of our Fund 19, and there will still be dollars still available in that fund. We had further discussion about the ongoing research about the security at the main entrance of the courthouse. There's some interest in having that redone, so we continue to, Joe continues to look at plans to do that. The Family Service Center, we had a long-term, Joe gave us the different project on the long-term planning, and then we had a Suite 201 vacant discussion. There's no longer people in there, and there's going to be some shifting of that, I believe, to, is it public health or? Yeah, so anyway, there's a, and then Productive Alternatives is doing an awful lot, and they're looking at adding a small space for them. We got an update on Birthright, and if you recall, they were here before us here, probably late last fall or something, and I think they're having some difficulties. Most of what they do is on a volunteer basis, and so their rent is becoming an issue for them, and I think there will be some further discussion on that moving forward. And then they gave an update on the LEC, the BCA audit update, and I believe all the windows at the LEC have been, from the sheriff's standpoint, have all been corrected in terms of the audit. And they continue to work on the door controls and alarms. And there was some additional discussion about the judges interested in some reserved parking. So we had a discussion on that and looked at some options that could be available to them. So. And lastly, yesterday we had our West Central Regional Water District meeting in Hallstead. We do have the hearing date set for that is April 17th here in the Clay County Courthouse, and it's our understanding now that they've also had an option for part of that to be live streamed at the Polk County Courthouse. Anticipating a large turnout. If you recall, when we had the first hearing, they needed 2 courtrooms here. This one's going to have probably 10 times the amount of mailers going out than what the original one did, so there will certainly be some interest in that. Let's see. Maybe I'll let Commissioner Bear also talk about it, but we did have a walkthrough of the presentation that's going to be provided by our engineer for the final engineer's report that will be part of that hearing. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Campbell. Commissioner Bear.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Last Tuesday, February 17th, I went to the Clay County Planning Commission where we had one public hearing. It was for a gravel pit amendment on a current permit that they were taking over. It was in Keene Township. The Township Board was here and gave their approval for it, and also we did too. So that public hearing, they received their permit amendment. And then Matt Jacobson also gave us a Planning and Zoning Department update, which he will be bringing to this board next week. So we got a quick peek at that, and then we also had the election of officers, and they all stayed this current as what they were last year. So no changes on the officers for the chair, vice chair, and secretary. And then on Monday, I also attended the West Central Regional Water District Board meeting up in Halsted, where we discussed the final survey. And it is April 17th at 1:30 p.m. in the courthouse here, with streaming at Polk County. And the hearing mailers will be going out between March 21st and 25th. So every landowner in Clay County that's in the district will receive a mailer on that and saying what that hearing is about. And for more information, there'll be a lot of stuff on that mailer. So if you hear anybody that you're welcome to come, you don't have to come to the courthouse. You're welcome to come. So, and then we also discussed our Minnesota legislative session, and the group is going to be asking for a $10 million bond for the West Central Regional Water District. That's been what we've been asking for the last couple of years. So we'll see where we go with that. And then for our earmark update for FY 2024, we are finally filled out the last little bit of paperwork on that, so hopefully we'll be receiving funds on that in the next 2 to 3 months if we're hopeful. I mean, we've been waiting for this for the last year, so we'll see. That is about all we discussed there at the West Central Regional Water Board. Yeah, so that is all my meetings, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Bear. As a follow-up to the letter that Clay County sent to DNR last week requesting an extension of the public waters inventory comment period, we did hear back from DNR. They did grant Clay County a 15-day extension of that comment period and felt it was also important to extend the additional comment period timeline to the additional 3 counties that were also working through the process. So thanks for bringing that forward. I did hear from our colleagues in those other counties. They were grateful for the extension as well. Last week, I traveled to St. Paul after the board meeting. Tuesday and Wednesday was in St. Paul having legislative meetings. We did have really great updates from Winthrop and Weinstein in regards to strategy, getting meetings on the book. We did have the opportunity to meet with over 30 legislators last week that included chairs of committees and also strategic outreach to folks that we had not had the opportunity to have conversations with. Really grateful for their work and the opportunity to do that. While down there, on behalf of the Fargo-Moorhead West Fargo Chamber of Commerce, we did have additional meetings, presentation from the Minnesota Chamber of Commerce on their session priorities. Over 1,700 stakeholders in the room, hearing from partners on legislative priorities, really important as we advance the work. Governor Walz was there as well. The next day, I continued meetings at the Capitol for our projects, traveled back and had some meetings. I will be traveling to St. Paul tomorrow to testify in regards to the SNAP error rates that we've talked a lot about, what the federal bill means to Minnesota and the cost for Clay County specifically. So I've worked with Jessica and Quinn to get that testimony together. So I'll be there Wednesday and Thursday on those components. On the 19th, I attended a MetroCog meeting. We did have good updates. We did prioritize and approve the North Dakota and Minnesota STBG and transportation alternatives grant funding projects. That was a approval that had gone through our Transportation Technical Committee and did approve the Minnesota and North Dakota safety performance measure plans. Good meeting there. And Friday, Darren and I had a check-in on our non-secure detention program that we're working through. I did have a phone call, a lengthy phone call with Representative Keeler after that to talk through additional components and amending the language on the bill. Yesterday, I traveled to Fergus Falls. We did have the Lakeland Mental Health Center annual meeting. great updates from the center. The center has experienced some financial volatility in regards to reimbursable components, but they still are in a strong financial position. As you recall, they're, for the 5th year in a row, will not be asking for an increase in funding from the counties. And then had an update from Donna Baker on the continued diagnosables that they'll see with folks, but overall maintain that they are such a great provider of mental health supports in all of the communities and counties in which they serve. After that, we had the Lakeland Mental Health Center Board of Directors meeting. We did have board elections. Todd Schneeberger from Todd County will be serving as chair going forward. And then we talked about legislative priorities, and there is some substantial overlap in what their legislative priorities are and what we as policy have talked about as well. And I believe that concludes my, oh, and then I had the opportunity to attend the AMC Lunch and Learn on candidate recruitment. That concludes my reports.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Last week I was on vacation. Thank the board for the opportunity to be out of the office for a week. Just to touch base on a few different things that were not touched on already. We had Clay County Management on February 11th. Again, we had conversations about our upcoming management retreat, some of the changes that we've done from an asset policy standpoint that this board has approved. We also talked about the legislative priorities, not only from the decision that this board has made, but encouraging our department heads as their individual departments have legislative things that are going to come forward that impact, potentially impact, that they bring those forward. So as this board is down in St. Paul, they can share the positives or the challenges with some of the new legislation. On the 11th, met with Sheriff Empting and Mr. Melton on a series of issues, and also had a brief meeting with Dan Molly, Peyton Mastera, and Matt Lyseth in regards to the White Earth. They're hoping to have, White Earth has received their second report that they were waiting on, and so they're hoping to bring back the committee again in the next month or so. Let's see, on the participate in the building committee, that's been well addressed. On the 12th, had a department head evaluation, and also then met with Darren that afternoon. On the 23rd, participated in the West Central Regional Water District meeting virtually, and also had meetings with Sheriff Empting, Mr. Melton, and Darren, and updates the last week. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Administrator Larson. Mr. Melton? No, nothing else. Thank you. Darren?
Thank you, Madam Chair. On the 17th, I worked on the MCIT payroll audit for 2025 and got that submitted. I also attended the Planning Commission, which has already been addressed by Commissioner Bear. On the 18th, we had the Clay County Legislative Planning meeting. 19th, I had the MCCC HR payroll meeting and also worked on a fairly large data request from the Minnesota State Wire. On the 20th, also attended the PRTF legislative meeting, which I think was just Jenny and I. No, James was there.
Just? James was there as well, though.
Yeah. Meeting with, on the 23rd, yesterday, meeting with Soil and Water to discuss a request for support to the Lake of the Woods Commission resolution for changes to the Minnesota Wetland Conservation Act. And I listened to the deeds update on the Minnesota paid leave. It was kind of interesting. I do have a few quick stats here for you. It says that they came in $70 million below implementation costs, so that'll be put back into the program. 20,312 people have been approved since November 3rd of 25. 45% of those have been for bonding, 44% have been for medical, and 11% have been for caring. 69% of them have been women, 31% have been men. Average time for bonding was 8.7 weeks. Average time for medical was 6.6 weeks, and average time for caring is 5.9 weeks. Average weekly payment was $1,121. And for Clay County, since the program started, we've had 18 applications, 16 are ongoing right now, and 2 have been completed. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Darren. Sarah, do you have any update? Thank you. We have addressed all the items before the board today. Our next meeting will be Tuesday, March 3rd at 8:30. We are adjourned.